You ever get that eerie feeling like the ground beneath Detroit is cracking wide open, only no one's yelling a warning? Just silent dread? Like the city's heartbeat skips a beat every time you hear whispers in the locker room. Whispers that could shatter everything we fought for. Light up the comments if you felt that tension in your bones because something fierce and chaotic is unfolding right now, right under our noses. And if you blink, you're going to miss the moment that changes everything. Behind closed doors, with the spotlight off and the camera set to cut, there's a storm brewing. Executives are holding their breath, coaches pacing nervously, fans scrolling endlessly hoping this isn't another Detroit disaster in the making. And in the eye of this whirlwind, Tate Ratledge, the Detroit Lions' second-round pick, the supposed linchpin to fill the void left by Frank Ragno's shock retirement, suddenly turning into the center of an off-field battle that nobody saw coming, but everyone's about to feel. This isn't just a rookie contract holdout. This is the spark that threatens to ignite a wildfire across the roster, a crack in the armor at the worst possible time. See, we've stared down heartbreak since 91 decades of longing, painful rebuilds, and faint hopes. From the ashes of the Caldwell years to the fresh roar that Dan Campbell promised us, we've clung to every shred of grit and glory that this city's soul could summon, believing that finally, just finally, the Lions might rise. But what if Tate Ratledge's silent defiance becomes the fracture that splits the locker room? What if this gamble spirals into a full-blown standoff that leaves us scrambling for answers and wondering if the spirit that carried us through is cracking too? You look at it, Graham Glasgow standing ready, veterans reporting, but that hole at center, that vital piece that Tate was supposed to fill, now hanging in limbo because of contract battles no one here signed up to watch. No one wanted breaking this close to training camp. What if his decision is more than just a financial stance? What if it's a signal that the team's unity, the fragile thread binding this group of hungry lions, might snap just when we need them strongest? And what happens to Brad Holmes? Blueprint when your second-round savior won't even step on the turf? The entire draft board feels this tremor. Tomorrow's rookies watching and learning. Do we follow Tate's lead or fall in line with history's forgotten names? Because here's the brutal truth. Second-rounders refusing to sign, setting a precedent that could unravel the entire NFL rookie wage system, leading to the domino effect that brings rookie holdouts from every round, turning every summer camp into a battlefield of ego and contracts instead of late-night film sessions and grit. This is bigger than one man, bigger than just Detroit, even though here, this hits harder, cuts deeper. What if Ratlitch holds out, missing training camp and the chance to cement his place in this Lions story, not just as a player, but as a symbol of defiance in a city desperate for heroes who show up and fight? And what if Frank Ragnow, whose absence looms like a ghost in the huddle, decides to shock us all and bring the hammer down? I'll protect my former kingdom if the next generation can't stand tall. Could that nightmare twist remind us why loyalty means everything in Detroit? Or would it deepen the rift in a team that already fights battles off the field? The questions claw at you. Is Tate making a stand for fairness, or is he risking becoming a rat in a locker room that respects toughness over contract drama? Will this ripple become a wave that drowns Detroit's fragile momentum, or fuel a fire that drives this team to overcome every obstacle and prove the doubters dead wrong? If you believe in the heart of this team, smash that like it's time. We roar louder than the rumors and show the resilience that courses through every Lions fan's veins. Because if this contract war escalates, if the holdouts multiply, if the league doesn't step in and fortify trust before it's too late, Detroit isn't just staring down a rookie's future. We're staring down the reckoning of what it truly means to rise from the bottom. And now the fuse has lit. Tate Ratledge's name is no longer just a draft pick. It's a symbol of a battle for respect, unity, and the soul of the Detroit Lions. All that's left is to wait for the explosion. Enough silence. Roar now or forever be forgotten. Because right now, in the shadows of Ford Field, something has shifted. Something we can feel tearing at the very fabric of our Detroit pride. You can see it in the uneasy glances exchanged during team meetings, hear it in the hushed whispers between players that tremble like fragile glass ready to shatter. Tate Ratledge, our second-round hope, the kid we all believed would be the cornerstone of our offensive line after losing Ragno, a player built from grit, from Detroit grit now, refusing to sign, throwing the entire Lions universe into chaos. And this isn't just about money. It's about respect, about trust, about whether this team's unity can survive the storm brewing behind closed doors. We've been here before, remember, 91, the darkest year when we went 0-16, when hope was just a distant flicker in the darkness, and yet we clawed our way back from the brink, biting tooth and nail in every game to prove the doubters wrong. We watched Calvin Johnson walk away, unable to stomach the burden of a franchise that had beaten him down for too long, and Barry Sanders before him, men who refused to be caged, who fought against the system to leave Detroit with their head held high even as the city begged for salvation. Jim Caldwell's firing, the wild playoff collapses that left us heartsick. Last season's banner push, how many times did we see our team teeter on the edge of greatness only to be yanked back into chaos? And now, in the quiet before the storm, we see Ratlitch playing a dangerous game. What if his stand against the NFL's broken system sparks a rebellion among rookies across the league? It's the kind of thing Detroit's battlegrounds have been soaked in blood, sweat, tears, every heartbreak, every triumph woven into the very DNA of this city. The front office, desperate for stability, watching as the ripple effect threatens to engulf their entire blueprint, is sweating bullets, knowing that a holdout, especially from someone as promising as Tate, could shatter months of work. Cass. Out on Holmes' draft picks and fuel a fire that no one's prepared for. Coaches are pacing now, flipping through playbooks that seem meaningless amid the chaos, knowing that if this spirals, if Ratlitch's silence becomes a loud scream, the locker room will fracture veterans like Glasgow ready to rally behind their fallen teammate or turn cold. The NFC North is watching with hungry, savage eyes, Vikings sniffing blood, Packers salivating over our weakness, Bears eager to pounce. Every rival in the league senses the crack forming and waiting to explode into a chasm wide enough to swallow this franchise whole. And imagine, just for a second, if Ratlitch's rebellion sparks others, if rookies from New Orleans to Seattle refuse to sign, igniting protests that drown the roar of the Motor City. This is not some distant war. It's the kind of war that could define careers, rewrite league rules, and cement Detroit's place in history as the city that refused to be broken, no matter how hard the league tries to shove us down. Because Detroit's spirit has always been built on standing tall through Barry's retirement, through Calvin's echoes, through the haunted ghosts of Jim Schwartz's battles and the heartbreaks of back-to-back playoff failures. Each scar, a testament to resilience, each victory carved from pain. But now, as Ratlitch's name dominates every headline, every rumor, every desperate off-the-record whisper, the question pounds like a drum in every Lions fan's chest. Is this the moment we've been fearing, or the moment Detroit finally claims its victory? Will this rebellion be the spark that ignites a revolution, or the chain that drags us back into the abyss? Because if Ratlitch's silent stand morphs into an open war, if the league refuses to mend what's broken, if the front line of the Lions, our pride, our future begins to fracture under the pressure of greed and ego, then ask yourself, what happens when the very soul of Detroit is forced to fight not just for a game, but for its identity? And as the smoke begins to rise over Ford Field, as the first shot is fired in this unseen war, the biggest question remains, are we ready to face what comes next? Or are we about to watch everything we fought for go up in flames, with Ratlitch at the center of it all, holding the fuse in his hands, waiting for the moment to blow everything wide open?